Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to meet you. Today I want to share with you the Hourglass framework, which is a new way to think about the customer journey and a way for you to generate anywhere between $5 and $10 million in email revenue by 2026. A little bit about me and why this framework excites me so much. Well, I'm an email marketer and a CEO as well of Trivelia, a 7-figure agency, which over the last 4 years has generated over $100 million in email revenue for clients all around the world, which at this point have been over 100. And I also have about a decade of experience in the marketing space. Some of the brands that you may recognize are Carnivore Snacks, Perfect White Tea, G-Pen, Cintra AI, and quite a few others. Now, let me tell you what we will cover today. So we'll go through the framework stages. We'll look into the specific segments that are within those stages. We're going to set up your goals and expectations for the respective stages. I'll show you ready to use and implement tactics and strategies. And then I'll also show you how you can leverage your own data to find those segments, as well as $10 to $25 million case studies of stores that are implementing these strategies. So before I dive into it, I want to share a quote by one of my favorite people in the world, a great mentor and a marketing mind into the digital marketing space in 2024. And that is Rory Sutherland, who said that the problem with logic is that it gets you to the same place as your competitors. So what that means is that if you follow the same paths, the same frameworks that everyone has been following over the last few years, chances are that you will have the same results. And you may hear about a certain level of expectations with email revenue, but often what ends up happening is that many stores rely on Black Friday and discounts to get their sales. And instead of that, I think that it's time to rethink your whole strategy. So before I fully dive into this is how I actually discovered this framework. So here is a quick story. It was 2023, probably. I was just working out, and I discovered this meme and decided to put it on LinkedIn. Wrote a little bit about it with some thoughts, and then suddenly within the next few hours, like my stop just wasn't buzzing. So I knew that there was something special going on, and I knew that there is more excitement about this framework. So if you allow me to read about it, like this is something that reached literally millions, at least 1 million on my post, and then thousands of others who shared. So here is what the post said. The year is 1898. You're in the wild west of advertising. And for the last 8 years, this new sugary drink Coca-Cola has had a strange addictive taste, and everyone seems hooked to it. This advertising thing is nothing more than a few people talking about you in the newspapers, but it's been around for about 50 years already. This guy, Elmo Willis, not the Muppet, a real person, starts explaining that in selling, there are actually 4 stages. Get them to know you, be interesting. When they show interest, take their money. So it sounds like a sales framework, and it is a sales framework for salespeople. And we're talking about a time before the first car, before planes, before cameras, and even shaving wasn't really a thing for another couple of years. So the case is that 90% of marketers use this framework to this day, which is the AIDA framework. At the times when, 125 years later, at the times when AI has disrupted advertising, so many people called AIDA the basis of the top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. And that's why it's time to shake things up to in 2022 to 2024, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as well. Now, here's why this framework is so amazing and why it interacted with so many people. Well, it is applied already on multiple globally recognized brands with celebrities that you may recognize here as well, that are all using these frameworks. So my promise to you is that this will boost your lifetime value. It will decrease your cost per acquisition. It will build a better, more predictable recurring revenue stream. It will help you leverage AI personalization at scale. You'll capture lost profits in your list, and then you'll also increase your organic exposure. So let's really now go into the specific stages. These 4 stages are how people behave in the Hourglass framework. So in order to get into your funnel, they first need to know you. And this is typically your advertising efforts, your earned media, your paid media, and suddenly now they get into the like interest phases. So I am going to talk from the email prism here, email and SMS, but email, because this is where we are going to be making this impact. However, this Hourglass framework applies to your cold acquisition channels as well. So in the like phase, typically people need to resonate with your messaging, with your brand, with your values. And in the trust phase, they understand that this actually is indeed for them. And that's when they get into the try phase, when typically they would try to either book a request, they would reach the checkout, they would buy maybe a measurement kit, or they would do some sort of action that actually identifies and qualifies them as someone who is interested. Then typically we would find the buy, repeat, and refer stages. That's when people buy and we need to get them into the brand. Then we need to understand what their repeat behavior is in terms of purchases, and finally get them to refer. Now, let's dive into the first stage. Your goal is to make people aware of your list and increase the sign-up rates. So you want them on your list. And the way that you're going to do this is by testing all of your forms. This segment we're going to call rabbits, or someone who is jumping in and out of your brand, not really being hooked to it, kind of understanding that what the stage is, but they're very, very top of funnel. Their spending level is non-existent, and your core metric here is increasing your form submit rate. The potential revenue uplift that you can have by 2026 is going to be anywhere between $250,000 to $750,000. And typically the mistake that I see the most often is not testing the offer, having a bad offer, or not having enough of enrichment. On the left, you will see some ideas that I've dropped of ideas that you can test, but I'm going to focus on the main ones. So what you want to do is have a very clear offer. And in the example here, I am showing a freebie or a gift with purchase. And the reason why I like a lot this type of offers is because they feel like better value. Now, this particular pillowcase is priced at $35. For the brand, it costs a fraction of that, but a discount that will be 10 to 15% would be much, much further in terms of cutting into their margins. So it is a better value for the customer, it's a better value for the brand, and it is increasing the conversion rate, therefore increasing the overall sales. So by all means, this offer is performing much better than the standard percent off. But sometimes that's not the case, and you just can't allow to dive into that margin. So what we want to do is have an email field only, or an email and SMS field, and that is going to vary per brand. I tend to focus on the email. It's the lowest form of commitment, and once you have those emails, you can actually use that and repurpose that across different channels. So it is the most valuable point of information that you can have in this funnel stage. You also want to show your value proposition with what you're going to be sharing with people and have some sort of a data enrichment. Now you can see 3 different brands, which are Olive & Crate, Bros with Hose, FeatherWage, Blanco, and Sintra, how all of them are adapting this data enrichment, because later in the journey, you'll be able to personalize your messaging, but also analyze what's the core reason that people are purchasing, and potentially also identify patterns of better customers. Then you're going to collect your SMS step, and then finally, you want to guide people to the next step. Now, this is the basis of the whole framework, that you want to always engineer the next step so that people don't have to presume it. You want to set it up and lay it in front of them and make it seamless. So here is a stage 1 success example. We are going to take a standard $1 million per month store. Your revenue contribution of email is roughly 35%. Now, this could be anywhere from 20 to 50, depending on the attribution settings, depending also on the attribution window, depending on your offer, on so many variables. So I have taken a very standardized example of the typical brands that we would help. Your new welcome flow revenue is $630,000, and that is provided that you haven't done any other optimizations. You have your standard welcome flow conversion of 15%, and you have roughly 40 to 45 sessions a month. With an AOV of $100, these 3 different pop-up conversion metrics, you can expect anywhere from $250,000 to all the way up to $800,000. Now, this is based on number of customers, subscribers, and conversion. And if you want to look into the calculations of this, I suggest you just download the slides and look into the notes. Now let's go to the stage 2. So this is where it becomes a little bit more exciting. Now this is not as simple. So the previous stage is very simple and very easy to do. With this step, we're now going to build familiarity and engagement. So we need to personalize the welcome flow, and we need to expand the pre-purchase phase, which means that you need to be following up on your data enrichment and turning this into actionable insights. So their buying frequency is non-existent still, but now you're focusing on your flows, click rates, campaign click rates as well, and your conversion rate, and you're aiming for at least 15%. Now, we are going to be pushing these 15%, but this is the first really metric to make sure that you are doing well. The common mistake that I've seen the most often is not enough personalization. So on the left here, you will see some of the flows that are typically associated with this stage, and you might know them from your email overall understanding. If you'd like me to go into this, I'd love to on another topic, but today I'm presuming here that you already have some of your email flows. Now, with your campaigns, the most common mistake that I see also here is not splitting your leads and customers. And that is because people don't really understand that the engagement window of customers and leads is very different. A lead is going to be engaged with anywhere between 7 and 30 days, potentially 60 days. But if they haven't purchased and they receive the amount of emails that you're sending them, which typically will be 2 to 3 a week, plus some flows, chances are that they're not going to purchase. So I hate to bring it to you, it's just the nature of email. However, with customers, it's entirely 180 different sentiment. With customers, it can go all the way to 180, 365 days. So a very, very large engagement window. And that is going to depend on your buying cycle. Also on the type of messages that you're sending. So if you're only pushing promotions, naturally the people are going to be stepping away from that. But if you're staying relevant to the products, to the problems that they're solving, you will stay top of mind for the time when they are about to purchase again. Now, this stage here in particular, I want to focus your attention on some of the tactics that I've seen working really well. The first one is your zero-party data, or then data enrichment that we discussed from the previous step, and converting it into an actionable follow-up. So typically that would mean setting up your zero-party data, personalizing the follow-up, doing your standard data integration, and then also working on your general customer journey. Now, this example here is from HIMS, and it's an email that we created as a mock-up. HIMS is an amazing company. I really like everything that they're doing, their whole positioning, and they're in fact one of the most profitable D2C companies in the whole world. But while they have this quiz that is happening on the website, at the time of creating this, there wasn't an email personalized follow-up plan. So here is a mock-up of what that would look like if they were to create this. So overall, there's a plan picked for regrowth, and the problem is that there's overall thinning, there's the age, the hair type, the stress, all those being impact factors on this problem. Now with personalized hair loss treatments, we are pushing a few different products, and then we're also showing the timeline for hair regrowth. Now within one email, we're going through all the different objections that people might have, and it's a very personalized plan. And with all of this, you're building the like and trust phases. Here is the second tactic that we use very frequently, and that is mixing formats. Typically, a lot of brands would use only designed email or only a text-based email, and there are very strong opinions about them, but what we love doing is actually mixing both of them and having them in a very quick follow-up. The reason for that is that typically people get anywhere between 100 to 200, if not more, emails per day. So sometimes someone that really likes your brand and wants to engage, chances are that they might just miss it. And by having a second follow-up, you're increasing your chances to convert them much quicker as well, as opposed to waiting to a full day. And then what I absolutely love doing is sending that message on behalf of the team or the founders. And on this occasion, this is Perfect White Tea's follow-up second email, where we convert another 2% almost immediately, an hour after they sign up, after an hour after they receive the first message. So you see, we have a very standard coupon, dynamic coupon with a CTA, with an image. And then on the right, we have this plain text that is coming from the founders. And that is going to be actually the surprise, connect, and delight framework that I want to show you today. So we're going to start with name if you have it, and if you don't have it, it's absolutely fine. It's on behalf of the founders, and we're going to really quickly introduce a story. Here's our story. We've always been t-shirt girls, living in jeans and tees. So there's immediately an association that the person who is reading on the other side is just like me, the founder. With a combined experience of over 30 years in the fashion industry, we knew there was a need for better basics. So this is the problem agitate solution. And it is true that standard white tees, standard black tees, standard hoodies are all typically poorly made. So they're very quickly, within a sentence, introducing the whole problem. And you can dive much deeper into this based on your brand and product as well. We typically want to add hyperlinks. So emails revenue is measured based on clicks. So we definitely need to include that. And then we want to typically incentivize a reply, especially in the welcome. And that is for deliverability purposes. Without diving into the deliverability, it could mean anywhere between 30 to 50% more impact in your email revenue. So deliverability has become one of the core pillars of email marketing. Then we would add a signature and a PS section. The PS section is a must. A lot of the times people might scroll and not read through the whole email, but just read the PS. And something that I absolutely love here is adding a dynamic variable or a dynamic date. Now, when you combine all of these elements and send it after the designed email, it comes across as a lot more genuine, and a lot of people genuinely believe that this is coming from the founders. So there's a much deeper connection that you're building a lot quicker, and you're setting up the basis for your email connection, for your email communications to work in your favor. If you don't do that, people presume that you'll be emailing just like everyone else. Whereas here, now we have this one-on-one inbox, and guess what? Like, email is supposed to work like that. Now, with stage 2 and 3 example case, I will focus a little bit again on the welcome flow revenue, but I will focus on improving it from 15 to 30%. So provided that you right now are making about 35% of your email revenue and your store is making roughly $1 million a month, that would mean that your store, your store's welcome flow revenue is, like anywhere in this stage at $700 to $800. And gradually you can increase it to 20 to 25 or 30% and find anywhere between $1 million and $1.5 million. And I want to say something here. So with all of these estimations, obviously they are marketing estimations, but as you push one of the numbers, all of the rest of the numbers are pushing as well. So if you improve just one of them, you have a domino effect on pushing all the rest of the metrics as well. So use this as a guidance, not as a hard rules, but more as guidance on what you want to get and what you want to optimize. With stage number 4, this is where it's very interesting because it overlaps with the previous stage, but now we want to improve it. We want to take a step further into understanding why people are not making the step that I want them to make. And typically you would have some sort of a front-end offer. Now, this is a very common mistake that people try to push either all the best sellers or the different products at the same time. Chances are that people will come for 1, 2, or even like 3 main products. And that goes for many SKU stores or like for few. If you have fewer SKUs, then it's going to be a lot more obvious, such as brands in the gym industry. But if you are in apparel, then your variables are going to be much larger. What I would push you to think here about is, again, splitting leads and customers, making sure that the offer that you are pushing to the leads is relevant, and also you're testing your offer. I think that what you will find here is going to be very surprising, that almost all the brands don't split their first time and returning customers, meaning non-customers and customers. And that's where you can actually go a lot more aggressive with your flows, because if someone stays on your list, and as I mentioned earlier, within that 30 to 60 day window, they're going to be a diminishing asset. So they're going to be devaluing themselves, like staying on your list. So there's no value keeping your flows with the same messaging. What you want to do instead is go a little bit more aggressive on your leads and a little bit less aggressive on your customers. And potentially we'll actually explore how we do that as well on the customer level. So on the left, again, we have our rabbits, and we have the customer journey points. We also have some offer examples, such as doing a ladder offer or an increased offer, bundling the product, enhancing the messaging, considering different offers. to different types of customers as well. Now, there are a bunch of tactics that you can try, but I want to give you the ones that have worked the best for us and for the brands that we've helped. One of them have been testing this free pillowcase that we saw earlier. And you can see on the left that suddenly the uplift has been really huge between the two different offers. So on the left, we have offer A, and on the B, we have the freebie. And the placed order, the click rate, and even the open rate have all been higher. So even though there's only 863 people there compared to the 2,500 on the left, the revenue is only half. In other words, there's almost 3 times less people, but only half less revenue. Then on the right, we have an abandoned checkout email. And this is for another brand. So it's in the car and the automotive industry. And it's about a device where you take control with the push of a button. And you can see that the difference here between the left and the right path is that on the left, we actually have an offer, and on the right, we don't have an offer. And yet people actually convert more without that offer, making quite a lot more, even though there's like less people than the flow on the left. With tactic number 3, this is where typically paid tools come in. You can absolutely find this in your Playview analytics as well. You can perhaps use the CDP and advanced analytics of Playview. We lean very heavily on Lifetimely. We're not a partner yet, we probably should. But with Lifetimely, you can find what are the products that have attracted the most amount of customers and also most amount of repeat customers. And because my focus is on repeat purchase, I would typically focus on the products that also have the most first-time and repeat customers combined. And sometimes that the repeat purchase rate might be higher, but the total amount of customers might actually be smaller, like the case here that we have with the 5th or 6th product. So you still want to focus on the one that has an equilibrium that makes most financial sense for your brand. Now, here's what something like this will look like. The main focus here is, again, decreasing the CAC payback period and increasing that lead to conversion. So with those two in mind, provided if you have a front-end offer, if you have a test or not, you want to get people within the first 2 months to be fully paid and to be profitable after that, which is going to effectively mean increasing your conversion of leads. Now, as a goal, we try to set anywhere between 20 to 35% of the leads, and that will be very generous. Now, if chances are that it might be even more in your brand, and it varies across industries, but I would use this as a benchmark to find another $1 million in revenue in 2025 or by 2026. And bear in mind, this revenue estimate here, or revenue uplift, is actually excluding the previous stages. Now it's where things get really exciting. So now we're into the buy stage. This is typically where most people think about email. This is where most churn happens. This is where you can have the second amount of most impact other than the repeat stage. So here's the question. How do you keep people engaged? What is your time window? You want to build behavior that is repeatable, but also you want to be blamed less for anything that people just didn't research, and you want to get less refunds. So by setting up your post-purchase journey, you're going to see a lot of impact in terms of keeping the sentiment, keeping a positive interaction, and also setting up your next purchase criteria. So that's the goal. For you, the goal is to onboard and get a second purchase. Your action is going to be to set up your follow-ups, and your segment is the first-time buyers. Some people refer to them as recent buyers. Their buying frequency is only 1. Their spending level might be any, and their metrics that you want to improve are going to be the repeat purchase rate of customers. So this is not the repeat revenue, but the repeat number of customers, or how many you can capture. Ideally, you want to capture anywhere between 15 to 20 in the first 6 months, and within the first year, 35%. Now, the most common mistake that I see here is actually not having a proper communication sequences, meaning your flows typically are either not on time or they're not with the right sequence. So let me show you some of the strategies that we implement. We start with welcome to the brand. We use our Surprise Connected Delight framework. Then we go into an FAQ and into community. And I want you to pay attention to the left side here, where again, I'm using 5 minutes later reminder straight after the purchase. On this brand, there was another $30,000 in revenue. And that could mean a different amount to different people based on the amount of recipients that you're getting. But a lot of people have still shopping intent. And I like to make the association that when you are in a restaurant and you order stuff, you want to, as a restaurateur, you want to make people order more things as they're hungry. While people are excited here and they're hungry, chances are that you can still upsell them. And you can do this absolutely on the website as well. I like doing it on the email side because it helps decrease the CAC period, but also improve the LTV. The two components, obviously, of growing LTV are growing the amount of times that someone purchases and also the amount that they spend. So by growing the first one, I immediately push the LTV, and my job here as a marketer is not done, but it's definitely improved. Here's another tactic. Now, if you have SMS or loyalty or an app, you want to engineer what's most relevant for you. So for some brands, they have a very big app channel. And for them, pushing people to the app channel is going to be the most important thing. For some, they're going to have loyalty. For some, they're going to have SMS. And here, what you want to do is create a hierarchy of those and then engineer your steps so that they're relevant, and then combine all of them into one customer experience survey. You want to understand how people behave, and this surveying is never going to be too much. You would be surprised how little actually brands surveys. Typically, we will do Hail Mary survey, which is a 30-day lead flow for leads who didn't convert. We will do a first purchase survey, a second purchase survey, and obviously win-back surveys as well. So you want to include anywhere possible surveys to understand why people are not shopping. Take that into your brand, engineer it into your product and positioning, and decrease that, and then gradually improve your results. So with tactic number 3, this is where things become a little bit more analytical. So I've already done most of the work, and I've prepared a template that you can use, and it's going to be in the notes of this presentation, that you can find what your different windows are. Now, what you want to find is your upsell time, your replenishment time, your win-back time, and potentially additional win-backs that you will have. Then also what you want to understand is what are the different product journeys based on the product that people purchase. And you engineer your cross-sell literally off of that. So here are 5 steps that you can follow, which are finding the product journey, finding the time between your orders, finding when they're supposed to order, finding what they're supposed to order, and then start to decrease that time window. While it makes most sense for you to message people as they are supposed to order, your goal would be to decrease the time. So let's say that on average, you're getting 3 orders per year right now. If you decrease the time window between the first 2, you suddenly leave the room for a 4th one within the same year. Here's some upsell ideas. So for example, with Crucial 4, we engineered a different schedule, or like we create a different schedule for different times of the day when people are supposed to take different products. And these products go hand in hand. For Gym Pro Lux, we put together the 28-day challenge because we figured out that people were actually buying that, whereas they were upselling their accessories. So instead of that, we changed the funnel to upselling the 28th journey, and that already shows some impact. With Curvy, we show Nat's top picks, and that are products that are currently trending. And then again, like with Crucial 4 on the side, we show why, what, and how criteria for different buying cycles and journeys based on the type of customer that people would be. So for example, there, our strategy would be a little bit different with the data enrichment to performance, immunity, stress, and energy. And based on those, we would have the different subsegments that we will know. Now, you can have product-specific segments as well, and you can also have your flows. So all in those are going to be helping you find successes like this one. For example, here, let's take again like our $1 million per month brand. Our 60-day is 15 to 20%, 35 by the end of the year. Your customer sentiment is 4.5, and your revenue uplift is anywhere between 1.2 million to 1.5, even 6. And typically, this is our customer journey. And again, strictly looking into the Shopify analytics. Now, the calculations, again, are in the notes with the different AOVs, with the different amount of people. I've given here a somewhat number by the amount of first-time customers and repeat customers. So let's say that the standard, to give you the mathematics, the standard e-com is that it's making $1 million a month, has an AOV of 100. That means that there are 10,000 customers. With a 35 to 65 split, that means that there are 6,500 customers. And then we multiply that by the months and AOV. So this is how we find this. Stage number 6 Now, this is for many marketers probably their favorite stage, and at least for email marketers, that is my favorite stage, and that is the RFM analysis. With RFM, what we will find is that there are different type of repeat customers. So you have people that we call loyal adopts, and it's by no means any offense. It's a way of us understanding them. We have our potential whales, and then we have our whales, and all of them have different repeat purchase behavior. The goal is to push everyone, or as many of those repeat purchasers as possible, to whales. So I will show you now in a minute the different tactics that you apply for them. But the broad goal is to increase the purchase frequency and value while decreasing churn or preventing it, even if possible. So what you're gonna do is create milestones based on understanding your LTV and trying to push it. This buying frequency is very frequent, and their spending level might be anywhere from mid to the possibly highest. The metrics that you're going to keep an eye on are going to be your repeat purchase revenue, not the number of customers. And the uplift here could be anywhere between 2.2 to 3.1. So this is your 80-20. If you just do one thing, probably it's going to be, I would say, the buy stage as well, because this stage can actually only apply with repeat. But the buy and the repeat stages are the ones that are going to have the most amount of impact. And with email, you often have to set the premise for the next step. And if you just do repeat, you won't be able to get the same amount of results. So that's why you need to have both your buy stage and repeat stage really figured out. Now, the tools that could typically help you get these results are Klaviyo CDP, Triple Whale, Lifetimely, RetentionX, or like the good old spreadsheets. Lucky for you, again, I have put already a spreadsheet template, so you can just go ahead and populate it. Just keep in mind that it's not going to be dynamically updating. But if you have the time and if you're excited about it, there's a whole instructions of how to populate this. What you want to find really is the number of orders per customer. You want to find the average order value for the respective segments as well, not just for the number of orders. So in other words, you're going to find how many times someone purchased, how many times they purchased, and at what AOV did they purchase on that particular occasion. The hypothesis when I created that was that people will start purchasing at a lower amount, and as they grow into the brand, they will be purchasing more, meaning your 3 times customer is likely to spend more money than your first time customer who is just probing the waters. So that's how you would find what your benchmarks are in order to grow the value per every single customer. Because what you want to do in order to push LTV is either grow the value again or the number of customers. And when we're pushing both, we're exponentially growing the LTV. Now, we can have either a positive or a negative movement. And there are different variations of this. So this will be probably the most frequent patterns. From rabbits to loyal dogs to whales, from rabbits to potential whales to whales, from rabbits to dogs and then back to rabbits and to whistleblow, or from rabbits to whales and then back to ship's dots at sea. And these segments, just the segments mentioned like this don't mean much, but they're effectively your frequent buyers based on their value and then based on recency. And I'll show you just in a minute what I mean by that. But this is how you should think about these different segments. And ideally, you want to have both flows and campaigns to market at those different stages. So this is how you will do more advanced marketing. And this is where CDP, advanced analytics, Lifetimely, all the additional tools that you would find are really valuable. The tactics that you can use here for whales and how to find them: your 3 times, the revenue is more than 3 times your AOV, their purchase frequency 3 times the standards, and they have placed an order within your engaged window, which could be 180 days. You want to have purchase anniversaries, free gift, birthday rewards. You want to have one-on-ones, private deals, free shipping for life, and different deals that are very custom. You can even create pop-ups that are specific for them with specific flow that is recognizing them at a certain stage in order to push them to the next stage. With potential whales, the thing is that they already spent as much as the whales or more than the standard segment, but they haven't just gotten with the frequency. So what you want to do is increase their frequency and give a freebie when they shop again, free t-shirt when you subscribe to our loyalty program, free perks for life, custom pop-ups. With loyal dogs, this is where we are having again the same really strong frequency and engagement, but just not the same revenue. So obviously we want to push their spend. So free gift with purchase when you spend over this amount, a number like store credit, for example, when you spend this amount, cross-sell kits that contain the bundle, cross-sell kits contain the product that they have, meaning bundles, And then we're moving to whistleblow. So whistleblow are ex-loyal dogs. So these are the people who used to be engaged, but they haven't. This is where your win back is going to be coming up. Obviously, you should be personalizing it further again based on the first time repeat business and then written repeat business, high versus low. And then you would have your best content, you would have new products, push them to something new, load store credit. With shift close at sea, these are your X whales. And I have given you a couple of examples here on the right with limited stock updates that we did for carnivore snacks, but also some emails that I've seen from other companies like Sephora and Nordstrom. You want to acknowledge that they've not been around, and that to say you're missing them is a bit cheeky. So you can definitely gamify this in one way or another. And the more you use humor as a pro note, like the better. How to find? So this obviously are your whales, just that haven't purchased. So you want to send them what we've improved almost monthly. You want to retarget aggressively on external channels and integrate acquisition channels. And also you can leverage a customer credit store. So with stage 6 example, our standard store of a monthly, the purchase frequency to consider this a success is at least 2.5 orders per customer. Your repeat customer is 35%, and your revenue uplift is anywhere from 2.5 to 3 million, which effectively is 35 to 50% of your repeat revenue, excluding stage number 5. Now, into the advocate stage. This is the final stage. This is the holy grail. This is where all of us want to go. This is where I've given the most conservative impact that I could think of. I think it's exponentially larger as the wheel sort of turns. You want to get more word of mouth. You want to set up your loyalty program. This typically will be your whales, and your buying frequency is very strong. I've estimated here the 2080 of 2080, meaning 4% of your to bring 1% each at the standard AOV. And provided that the standard Shopify conversion is 2.5%, you're expected to make $250. If it's 5% because they have a warmer sentiment, it's 500,000. If it's 10% and beyond, you can really quickly make them. I'm going to show you a couple of brands that we've helped with Luxa and their loyalty tiers. This is what you want to set up. You want to reward people for behavior. And this is the opposite of giving them discounts to purchase. You want to teach people that they will be rewarded for shopping and being loyal to the brand. And there are some of the items here that we've shown with the coupon and the rewards that they can use with products. Now, something to keep in mind here is that some brands have expiring points and some don't. I tend to lean actually in the unexpiring points because you can reclaim them. But with BWH Blanco, they actually wanted to have their expiring points, and their coupon is very different for referral. And the success example here, really briefly speaking, is estimating that roughly your campaigns and flows revenue is going to be about half and half. It's very hard to actually track it, even when those platforms are showing that. So you will find that additional revenue. So here is the whole summary of everything that we've discussed today. So there's all these 7 stages. You have these different segments. You have the rabbits that based on the stage, you need to make them aware, increase the sign-up rate, and get another 500,000. Then in the like and trust page, build familiarity, personalization, and engagement, and add another 1.5. The try stage, find your front-end offer, and add another 1.1 million. With the one-time buyers, onboard them, engineer a second purchase, and get on average 1.4 million. With RFM segments, find them and prevent churn, also increase value, and get on average 2.6 million. And with advocates, keep them happy, get another at least 500,000, to a total of close to 7.5 million in additional revenue by 2026. Here's your next step checklist. Well, you want to test your pop-ups, you want to mix text and design, you want to split your leads and customers in both the flows and the campaigns, you want to find your front and best offer, you want to understand your product journey, you want to do your RFM analysis and set up your loyalty program. Thank you so much for your attention. Please feel free to connect over the social media. I'm active on X and on LinkedIn, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.